I'm Beverly Ketch.
I'm Hannah Brookman.
Well, I work for the town of Montague for the DPW. And before I did that, though I started setting up Fairy House Days 6 years ago. Was the first Fairy House Day I ever did. And it was beautiful. There was incredible kids that came and built fairy houses all over Unity Park. And we had a dance performance that was incredibly sweet. It was a lot of fun. But then I didn't do another one until I met Hannah, and I told her about the idea for the show, and she immediately said, let's do this show together. And then we also resumed doing Fairy House Days.
I moved here 3 years ago and met Bev pretty immediately and probably started filming the show. And like the second time we saw each other, well, we met each other about a year before that, briefly, but like the second time we saw each other, we started filming this show.
Yep, we went and we're scouting locations together, like right off the bat. It didn't take us long to figure out.
And that was probably 3 years ago. And since then, it really made me stay here. I didn't know if I was going to stay here or not, but I fell in love with this place and all of the people that wanted to help us with the show and be a part of it. And there's so many people interested and excited to do big projects like this, which is so fun. And so we not only do this project, but we also started doing Looky Here, which is a thrift store art space project in Greenfield. And then I started working at the TV station, and I started getting these after-school jobs and all these fun jobs that just makes everything about being here so fun. And the TV show is really my favorite project.
It's really fun. It's ridiculously fun
It's
to
ridiculously
do.
fun. And making festivals and events and doing like events and projects for kids throughout the year that are about filming, but not necessarily explicitly for the show. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, when you're doing a show like this, your to-do list is stuff like get rainbow wig, research paper lantern lighting, call a doll maker. It'll be like, honestly, that is, so and it is really real. I mean, everything that you're doing is so whimsical and funny, and usually everybody involved is getting a pretty big kick out of it. So, like,
walking around town dressed in costume, filming outside of all the shops, being mermaids at the park.
Yeah. And everybody that kind of catches a glimpse of what's happening is getting a kick out of it, too. You know, if we're filming and dressed up.
You want to go?
Well, when I first started thinking about it, I was doing the children's page for the Montague Reporter. And I have a kind of a breezeway in my house, and I thought somehow of it almost was like the idea of turning myself into a character. I thought I could portray a character that's creating the children's page, and make up a story that I thought, at that time I thought I'd love to do a show, but I thought, well, something that I know that I can attain is that I could do a storybook with photographed stills. I knew I could attain that, so I thought I would like to portray this character that creates the children's page, that she has decided to do a dollhouse feature on her children's page, and when she wakes up in the morning, she's having breakfast with her sister, but when she goes out to look at the dollhouse that she's creating for the children's page, a real fairy is asleep in the dollhouse. And and this sort of idea started to spin in my mind, like, how could I tell this tale? Because also a really important part of making it all up is that I have these two little girls that I've known since I moved here, and they were very tiny. Now they're 12 years old. So, but all this while, I mean, they love fairies and they love me, and they've been great friends to me. And I knew that I wanted them to be part of a project, and they also always wanted to do projects with me. So the idea that was the first notion of doing this. It had to do with those kids and their wanting to portray fairies. And so then it wasn't so a little time went by. I tried to get it together and ask some people to help. And people were sort of interested, but it didn't really click. But then when I told the idea to Hannah, she right away knew that she would be able to help with this and to make the project her own too. So that's how we've gone since then and worked side by side.
We didn't really know what we were doing the entire time. I think.
Every single thing about
Every
the show was
single time.
surprising and unexpected.
It wasn't even clear if we were going to finish the entire episode or how long it was going to be, what it was going to be about. We just kind of knew what we wanted it to look like and the ideas we wanted to have in it. And we actually looked at this, it was like a Amazon or Netflix competition for children's TV shows. And that was one of our first goals, was to try to have something ready for that, but that deadline was gone years ago. And we just really were refining it and making sure that like we had all the scenes right and we're doing everything kind of the way we wanted it to look. And I mean, also it just takes a long time to get all of it together, and we all are working all these jobs and organizing all of these people and getting all the props and things together. I guess I'm surprised that it's coming out already. It feels fast.
In a way, it does feel fast. I mean, I know most TV shows are made much faster than over the course of years, but for us, it came together fast in our scheme of things. Like she's saying, our spare time.
So quickly, we just went with it right away and just kind of went full force.
And basically, everyone we asked to participate completely went for it and cleared their schedule to do it. And that's how it kind of amazingly worked out.
And so many people were helping us the whole time. And things kept falling together too, with meeting people and getting in the right position and like getting to work for the TV station and getting to work for the Hitler Bigfoot thing and meeting like the Fast Lights people.
That was crazy about how we were out discussing the show out behind Unity Park. We decided to scout locations that first time, one of the first times we hung out. And we were talking to each other about the show and these locations, and we overheard someone else on the phone talking about locations in a show. And so when he got off the phone, he was out there with his dog. We said, hey, how funny, we're all out here just by, at the edge of Unity Park, like talking about the same thing. And he was quite amazed by that coincidence too, and immediately jumped into a conversation where
basically immediately hired me to be on the art department.
Yeah, right there on the spot. We went off to our friend's restaurant. We were sitting at the Great Falls Harvest, 20 minutes after meeting the guy, and she, Hannah gets a call from this lady from Britain who's calling from LA, and she's being hired for that job. So that
also crazy thing is that Cordelia, one of the characters in our show, she's Bev's friend's daughter who lives in New York City, who's interested in being an actor, and recently just got totally discovered and is going to be in a new film called The Heights by Manuel Lin Miranda. What is this?
I just know that it's about Washington Heights and that it's a hit Broadway
It's
play
his Broadway
that
play
was acquired by, what was that? I mean, when the biggest film companies... Warner Brothers for $15 million or something crazy, and they're making it into this movie, and she's one of the kids in the family, and she'll sing and dance, and
she's touring with Les Mis.
And she's touring with Les Mis so she's doing both of those things, and she was also in a circus this summer, and her poor mom's going bananas, but, she's going to be there at the Love Light show as one of the characters. Even though she's doing all that stuff, she still happened to be able to come and be at the premiere of this show and to be part of the live show that day. So that was pretty funny. And she wanted to. I said, gosh, you're so busy, maybe you'll just come and enjoy it. And Serena was like, no, she wants to be in it.
She's such a star.
She's a superstar.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Effie and Valoria are great little actresses
really
too.
They're the whole project.
And on everything they can give great advice, as good as any of us have to give. So they're right in there.
Who are those two again?
I wish they were here.
They're neighbors of Bev's on K Street. Oh. And Joel's daughter is Effie. She's one of our star fairies, and her friend Valoria.
Yep.
And they both have been working on it with us. I mean, some of the shots in it, they're so much younger. they're like 3 years younger with
Yes.
chubby faces, and their
little.
costumes don't fit anymore. It's really cute.
You get to see him grow up through the video.
Kind of. I
Yeah.
mean, hopefully not too much because it's supposed to happen like over one day. But yeah, they grow up a little bit.
I was saying to their mom, they were sort of in earshot, and I was saying to one of their moms, like, oh, wow, we need to make this show and make more episodes where they're still little while they still want to do a fairy show. And right away, I didn't even realize they were listening, and they were both like, we will always want to do a fairy show. I was like, yes, you could just, like, when Hannah and I retire from it, you could just take it over and continue.
Never too cool.
But it really, it's asking of where the show came from. It came from life on K Street. It's inspired by the idea of just this happy neighborhood in our town and how lucky we are to have friends in the neighborhood, and it bloomed into the show.
You know, starting up around here.
I hope so.
Hope so,
It's
too.
sure fun to have around and a great way for people to express themselves. I'm hoping that lots of people will do homemade projects too. Because I mean, yeah, big Hollywood stuff is cool to have around, but I love it, the idea that people now have the power and access to the equipment that they can do their own kinds of shows.
I think that's what our show is kind of trying to promote, and I think in some of the workshops that we've been doing, it's we have like kids behind the camera or teaching kids how to do some stop motion animation things or how to do green screen things. And I want to do more of that at the TV station too. I think it's a really cool resource, and I think it's really exciting when kids can generate their own content instead of just watching what's made in Hollywood. So I think we can do more of that pretty easily.
And the quality can go up now because people, really the kids are getting so good at the different editing tricks and different apps that come up. It can really start to be fun to watch rather than just like, oh, I'll watch what my friend did. Or
Oh my gosh, and so much easier with just like an iPad or whatever. You don't even have to do like film.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and this whole show takes place, is about fairies that live in the planters in Turner's Falls. So it's, the planters really are an incredibly beautiful, unusual feature of the town. And I think people that don't even realize how much they love them, that's why they love the town, because it just has these amazing islands of, forest all over town. And no place else has that. Not
Yeah.
quite that way.
It's a beautiful downtown to feature.
Mm-hmm.
And just maybe like the wonder of looking into the flower beds and imagining that there could be fairies there, or even just seeing a butterfly and thinking that its life or its magic feels like a big part of it. That it is so attached to nature, but it also is about empowering kids to make their own content too. And super feminist. It's all women made, and we're using all these girls and all really friendly, loving female themes. That isn't really typical in a children's show. That I think is important.
Yeah, I grew up with a family where I was one of 5 sisters and a brother, and so I'm definitely just set the tone for me to love things that are all female dominated. Like men are involved. Really cool actors have helped better men, but it is just nice to have it be more like being in for example, in a band and in the music world is wonderful, but it's just tilted the other way. So you'll have a band with 5 members and one is a female. That's just a tendency. I don't know why, but this is sort of a neat situation where it's reversed. So.
We want to do a whole
we want to
season.
do a whole season of the
At least
show,
one
and we have
season.
all the plans like ready to go. But we would need a lot of money for that.
This is very much a pilot in that we're introducing all of these characters that we imagine much like larger storylines for, and setting the stage of the town and kind of what could happen in this town or in this world, in this magic scenario. But we are trying to develop a good website so that we can put the episode out on our website, and we want the website to be like a good interactive spot for kids to maybe get tutorials on how to make their own things and submit videos to us.
That we could even maybe include in certain contexts in the show. So we have a lot of ambitions to do more. I think I would be perfectly happy to do it for the rest of my life and create seasons of this show. We'll see.
That
But I'm
is
also really
totally the
happy
dream.
that we attained this. That's incredible. So all of that.
But we want a studio. We want a big
Yes.
studio with lots of space so we can build bigger sets, more sets.
And a camp where we
and
can
a-
work with the kids.
Oh, we
on
want the
content.
summer camp. Oh my gosh, we have so many dreams.
Yeah.
We want to have a summer camp where we can build like gnome homes and like life-size fairy houses that you can walk into, so we can use it to film and have like all of these nice sets. But we can also host a summer camp in those, and they could be tents that you could actually
They
sleep
could stay in them.
And we could do
Wouldn't that
like
be incredible?
film camps or fairy camps, lots of different kinds of camps.
Just having a camp where they can go and learn how to, shoot all that thing too, and
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Because people think of learning, filming, and I believe, well, maybe others know better than me, but I think I used to think of it as, you're learning the technology aspect. But the truth is there's so much to learn if you're not a technical person about creating the shots and arranging the shots, the visuals of what needs to happen in front of the camera. So that if you have somebody else that can help you with the technical aspect, or somebody that's excited about that aspect, people who aren't can still learn enormous amounts about props and lighting and the way to create the picture that you want to create.
It would be so great if we could have a budget so we could hire people. I think that's also a big dream, as I really would love
Oh, that would be amazing.
not only like for us to get paid, but just so that we can hire artists. And I think that's also one of my goals with Looky Here too, is just to be able to pay artists that we think are doing good and say, hey, we'll pay you to write a song for our show. And that would be so meaningful to people who, everyone's been donating their music to us this whole time, and their time and their
time
effort
and their
and
acting.
everything. But
It was so cute because Annabelle really is signed. Now she's signed with an agent, but way back, she's so at that time. What was she like? 5 or something? No, just kidding.
no,
she was
like
7.
9. Was she 7?
No, when I first talked to her about the idea.
Oh, when you first
when she
talked
wanted
to
to be, and she said she wanted to be part of it, and she said, yes, well, I am about to get my agent, but for you, I will work for free. Oh, so great.
Yeah. But we've gotten a decent amount of funding. We got a grant from the Northampton Public Access Station, like last
That was the
year.
hugest help.
That was the big one. We just fundraised on GoFundMe or one of those things for
Yep,
the
it was
Fairy House
GoFundMe.
Day, where we're doing a big live show. So not only are we screening the pilot twice, once at Fast Lights, once in the park in the evening. At 3 o'clock, we're doing a live show that's going to be in the amphitheater that we're preparing for. And we have a lot of people who are going to be in it, and we're building all these different new sets to go in it with new ideas that none of them are really from the episode.
It's in the spirit of it, but yeah, there's no, other than the fact that we appear in character as the Lovelate sisters, everything else is just it's a fanciful visual pageant of beautiful costumes and
Tableaus.
so that kids can kind of see beautiful merman people and a scary pirate, and it'll be really, I think, and people can just chill out on the grass with their picnics while they do that. So.
And it's the second year we're doing it, so we can keep doing that in the future too, and that might get bigger. Fairy House Days happen all around the world.
Yeah, and they're a big deal.
probably.
People, they really catch on. There's a whole interesting little element of society where that's their thing.
Yeah, and people make beautiful ones.
Incredible.
I mean, just encouraging and supporting folk art in general, I think, is a big thing.
A big part of the show.
Big part of the show, that everyone can be an artist, and you can show your work, and people will love it, and you can share it together. And we're going to have more Fairy House building workshops this summer. I think maybe starting next Sunday at Looky Here. We did it last year, had people coming in every weekend making these little fairy houses, and then they're going to go in the planters for the Fairy House Day, which is August 17th. If you go and you want to film while you're there, you can send us your footage, and it might appear either in an MCTV video about the day or in a future episode.
Also, if anyone wants to just come and full on character of their own fairy selves, they'll be fitting right into the show.
Costumes are so welcome. Performances are kind of welcome. There's going to be a whole kind of just picnic part of the day that's like kind of chill with hula hoops and bubbles and like
we invited hula hoopers and tightrope walker.
Yeah, just like a fun kind of garden party in the park in between when we show the episode and we have the play.
It'll be like a leisurely, lovely, long day in the park.
Oh,
And then we
beautiful.
have the Enchanted Evening that's going to have the whole park full of luminaries and beautiful music. So we decided just to go for the whole thing, kind of festival style.
Yeah, with many costume changes. So you can bring costume changes of your own because there's a ball gown evening or like an elegant evening. Maybe not a ball gown. I don't even have a ball gown.
Yeah, well, I guess there won't be. Well, somebody hopefully will show up in a ball
I
gown.
hope so. Okay.